All right. So here's the agenda for tonight. I have a couple minutes where I'm obligated to share some announcements, both from ASQ Society and, of course, within our section of upcoming events. Then we'll turn it over to our guest speaker tonight, Linda Baugh, who has a two-part presentation. And we'll have time for some questions after each. And then near the top of the hour, near 8 o'clock, we'll also have some closing comments, and then we will adjourn for the evening. Again, if anybody wishes to ask a question or to speak, I believe you all have the capability to unmute yourselves. And please, I do encourage you to take advantage of the chat window option where you can type in comments, questions, and we will get to those during tonight's presentation. All right. So I did mention earlier that we have a few openings. As best as I know, as of today, this is our current leadership committee for 2022. So you see, we have both elected officers that are required by the society, and we have officers that are appointed by the elected. And of all the appointed positions, there are two that are required. So again, looking at the elected side, every section and every division, you have to have a chair, you have to have a secretary and treasurer. It's not required to have a chair-elect. Some sections may have a vice chair. We do not have a chair-elect because our section chair is a 2-year term. So this is Jim's first year now. That starting in 2023, we will be looking for a chair-elect, and that is an elected position. If there are more than one candidate who wishes to hold a position, we would then hold an election for the candidates. And that's all done in September, October timeframe. On the appointed side, these are people who express an interest in volunteering. They may have some time to give. They want to learn a little bit more about building their leadership skills and earn some additional RU credits. These are the positions we currently have on our leadership team. You can see most of the positions are filled. We do have 4, though, that are currently open, 2 of which are required. So one open position that's required. We do need an audit chair. And so we're really desperate for somebody who might be interested in serving in that capacity. It's not a large role by any means, especially now that within ASQ, all of our financials go through software called Bill Highway. So all the reports are already automated. Basically, the treasurer takes care of the day-to-day expenses. The audit chair, just at the maybe twice a year, we would meet and just review, do we have any outstanding requests or outstanding bills to pay, just keep tabs on that. And then we have a placement chair position. This is really to submit job postings. So as you become aware of job openings within the Phoenix and Arizona area, actually, as the placement chair, you would be posting those on our website, the My ASQ site. And we have an opening as our arrangements chair. We have co-chairs because our contracts person would usually do all of it, but because of his job expectations, he's not able to attend many of the actual program meetings. So Amrish can do all the behind the scenes up to and leading to the program event. But on the night of the event, we need someone there to welcome people, take registrations, hand out drawing tickets, that type of thing. And it's not that critical now that we're doing virtual meetings, but hopefully beginning the first of the year, we will be able to hold face-to-face in-person meetings once again. Our plan is to continue offering those as hybrid, so there would still be a virtual component as well. But we are looking for someone just to fill that role on the day of the programs. The only commitment is that you have to be there. So we would be welcoming you to our leadership team in that capacity. And I'm currently managing all of our social media. I have all of these types of accounts personally, so it's not a big deal for me to also post on behalf of the section. If somebody else has an interest in this area, maybe you are also engaged and active in social media, I would welcome the opportunity to be able to hand this off to somebody. So those are the positions we have open currently. So please let us know if you're interested. And if you are interested, you can either send an email to our ASQ@gmail account you see here, or feel free to send an email to either Dave Gibson, who is our nominating chair, to myself, or to Jim Steele. So quite a few options there for you. I always like to keep everyone abreast of how we're doing with our strategic plans, and I'm happy to announce that as of Tuesday, we have met 100% of our commitment for implementing new strategies. So we have the last blue circle here as of October 12th. So we have 100% attained everything that we had planned to do. All right, with that, that's enough from me as my obligatory comments. I would like to introduce Linda Baugh. So Linda is a job search. Hello, yep, there you are. Linda is a job search and career management expert who has launched award-winning Arizona businesses, resulting in professionals, executives, recent college graduates in achieving career success. She is a former vice president of an executive search firm where she performed recruitment of degreed individuals, contributors, managers, executives for high-tech industries. And she herself has been recruited by 3 different outplacement and career management firms. She currently has her own private career and job search practice based here in Scottsdale, where she works one-on-one with individuals seeking new jobs, looking for some career advancement advice, and with present employers and people looking for career shifts. So Linda brings a lot of experience to the career development space. Tonight's presentation is going to be all around building your personal brand. So she's going to be talking a lot about LinkedIn and what types of content it has and what types of format you should use to get the attention of potential employers and or recruiters. And then we'll take a short break, and then we'll come back for the second half of her presentations, where Linda will be focusing more on building your professional network. Again, building your personal brand so that you can get referrals and recommendations or be introduced to people you didn't know before. So with that, Linda, I will stop sharing and turn the screen over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Bob. And before I start, I just wanted to thank both Bob and Vic for asking me and giving me the opportunity to share some really great information with you that can be helpful in your career, whether you're with one employer right now or you're going to be looking for a new job sometime in the future. So I'm going to start with LinkedIn. So I'm going to ask for your patience while I share the screen. I'm going to size it up a little bit so that you have the best view.
Looks good right here. It takes up my full screen.
Okay, well, that's exactly what it should do. That's exactly what it should do. So
Love it when things go according to plan.
just a little background information. I personally have been on LinkedIn since 2004, and I do some work for the outplacement firm Lee Hecht Harrison. If any of you have heard of them, they are a huge international career management and outplacement firm, and I've been dubbed one of their subject matter experts for LinkedIn, working with executives who are in transition. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of cred before I jump in. So what I'd like to give you is kind of the why. Why is LinkedIn so important? Now this might sound a little harsh, but you are like a product. You really are. All of the features, functions, and benefits that you as a professional have to offer, you are like a product. And you deserve to have a professional brand. We'll get into that a little bit more in the second session, but LinkedIn is the perfect place for you to display your brand so that your peers, potential employers, professional organizations, they take a look at you on LinkedIn and they have the most positive impression possible. LinkedIn can also provide visibility and credibility for you. And a couple of startling statistics, 98% of the employers and recruiters use LinkedIn as a primary recruiting tool. Tool. So let me give you just an example. I'm going to use something really, really simple. Let's just say that back in the day when I was a recruiter, if a company hired me to look for, let's say, a senior project manager, today I would go on LinkedIn, I would put in all of the characteristics they were asking for, where's the person located, how many years of experience do they have any sort of project management credentials, do they have degrees, probably 25 characteristics. And here's the reason I'm making such a big point of that. If a recruiter or an employer were looking for someone like you, that list that comes up is going to be dozens and dozens of people who have similar backgrounds to you. And it's going to be so important that you have an outstanding LinkedIn profile, that you look really, really good to those employers and recruiters. Now, for those of you on the call who are not in a job search or transition right now, it's just important for the people who know you to have a positive impression of you. In the next session, when we start talking about job search, 85% of hiring is the result of some sort of networking. And LinkedIn is a great place, it's a great tool for you to utilize in networking. Excuse me, I'm just opening up my chat. I want to be sure that I've got that in case you have a question. So what are the basic elements of a LinkedIn profile? I haven't had the chance to go look at each one of your LinkedIn profiles, and some that I see are pretty bare, pretty minimum. Others are pretty rich. So these are some of the things that we'll be talking about today. What about your privacy settings on LinkedIn? Have you customized your LinkedIn address, the URL? You'll need to have, of course, your name, a photo of you. And here's a little tip about the photo. Profiles with photos on LinkedIn are 7 times more likely to be viewed than a profile that doesn't have a photo. So if you've been holding back on that, you'll want to have a photo. You'll want to have a nice background image, a strong profile headline. Now that profile headline could be the title of the position that you currently hold, or you could decide to have a headline that captures your brand. You'll need to put your location, you'll need to choose an industry category. Some of the most important sections will be the summary or the about section. On another slide I'm going to share with you, in that about section, that's where you can really sell yourself. You can have up to 2,600 characters in the about section, much more than a summary that's on a resume. And of course, we'll talk about putting in your experience, your education, your skills, getting recommendations for people to write recommendations for you on LinkedIn, If you're open to opportunities, whether you're actively in a job search or you're basically just saying, hey, recruiters, if you want to contact me, I'd be open to hearing from you. And then we'll look at some good guidelines for building your connections. So for your career, what you'll want to do with LinkedIn is invite people to connect and accept invitations from people that want to connect with you. Now, I'll just tell you my own rule of thumb or rules of thumb in terms of LinkedIn connections. I only accept connections from people who have written me a message. Like, I was in your ASQ training on LinkedIn. I'd like to connect with you. But if someone just clicks a button and sends me, let's just say, the canned message, I don't accept their invitation. So I'm also going to be encouraging you, when you invite people to connect, that you personalize your message to them. Finding jobs on LinkedIn, it's fabulous. You can research companies that you're interested in for whatever reason. You can even potentially identify the decision makers. Now, this is good for two different purposes. It's good for people that are looking for a job, and for any of you that might be involved in business development or sales. You want to find the decision maker. That's something else that you can do on LinkedIn. You can ask people that you know to introduce you to people that you would like to know. You can share information that increases your credibility. Perhaps you have written an article that you would like to post or to share. And then we're going to go through all of the fantastic sections that you can add. And it's just been my experience in teaching LinkedIn classes with Lee Hecht Harrison and working with my own individual candidates, that a lot of people have not taken advantage of all of the rich information that you can provide about you, your background, your expertise. What Bob has for you is the PDF copies of both of these presentations. So I'm going to encourage you that if you would like a copy of these presentations when you're done, they're going to be posted on the website. Is that right, Bob?
Yes, that's correct. I will
Okay.
be uploading them to our My ASQ page,
Great.
and I will put out a blog post announcing it. And then within that My ASQ post, there'll be a link to the actual document, which, for those of you who have navigated to My ASQ, is up in the menu bar, the word files. So you'll find it there too. Yep.
The reason I pointed that out is because I'm going to run through these slides pretty quickly, but then I think it's even more valuable for me to take you out to LinkedIn Live and show you exactly what I'm talking about. So here are some of the slides. Your name, your photo, and you want a professional looking photo like the examples here. We'll look at background images, and then your profile headline. Once again, it can be the title of a job that you have right now, or you can put in any headline you want that supports your brand. Some of the other basic elements of the profile, that about section, I mentioned that you can have up to 2,600 characters. You can write it in first person, which is very popular right now, or you can write it in third person. So you can, in essence, you can lift the summary out of your resume and then expand it. You might even want to put in some specific bullet points about your skills and accomplishments. Good advice about your about section is not to have big chunky paragraphs, but to have pretty small paragraphs. And look at the layout to make sure that it's easily skimmable by anyone who might be looking at your about section. Experience. Now, this might surprise some people on the call. What is recommended is that you go back in detail in your experience about 15 years. Now, if there's anyone on the call who's saying, wait a minute, I've got 20, 25, 30, 35 years of experience, we still recommend putting in detail in your experience the last 10 to 15 years. And I'll give you a little trick to use how you can honor your earlier experience when we get out there. You'll want to list each job separately. So for instance, I'm just going to pick this out of the air because I was reading an article today about Boeing. What if a person's been at Boeing for 15 years, but they've held 3 different positions? You would list each of those positions separately, and don't worry, LinkedIn will link them together. We suggest just putting the years, not the months. A brief description of the duties and responsibilities, and then a few bulleted accomplishments. Now, for anyone on the call who might be in a career search, please do not copy and paste everything out of your resume. You want a briefer description in LinkedIn and fewer bullet points in LinkedIn that you would have on your resume. Another little tip that you might not be aware of, but my having been a former executive recruiter, here's what we want to happen. If you're interested in looking for a new position, if the recruiter or the employer looks at your LinkedIn profile, what we want them to say to themselves is, oh, this is someone I want to know more about. And if you have given them everything that's in your resume, or you have uploaded your resume, maybe you want to let me know in chat if you've done that, but if you've uploaded your resume, you're going to want to take it off of LinkedIn. What we want is for that recruiter or that employer to have to contact you. And I'm going to look at some of the participants that we have. I'm just going to take a quick look at the list of participants. And Vic, do you mind if I use you as my example?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. So if I were a recruiter and I looked at Vic's profile on LinkedIn and I'm thinking to myself, oh, that's a guy that, I might want to recruit for this position. What we want is for that recruiter to have to contact Vic and say, Vic, I saw your profile on LinkedIn. There's an opportunity I'd like to discuss with you, and I'll need a copy of your resume. And what that does for Vic or any of you that could be in that position, it gives Vic the control over who gets a copy of his resume, and it gives Vic the opportunity to talk to the recruiter and find out, is this even something I'd be interested in? So I want you to have the control as far as people have to contact you if they're interested in getting a copy of your resume. So once you have built a nice experience section for each of your jobs, you will want to see about getting 2 to 3 recommendations per job, especially the most recent jobs. Now keep in mind, I'm just going through these slides with you, but I'm going to take you out to LinkedIn and show you what each of these things is that I'm sharing with you. Oh, the skills section. This is so lovely. This is where you load up all the keywords that have to do with your areas of expertise, your skills, the industry that you're in or industries you might be interested in. You can actually choose which of your skills you want to be most visible to people looking at your profile. And yes, I'll show you how to do that. And as far as education is concerned, I mean, it's great when you have degrees, but what if, is there anyone on the call you haven't quite finished that particular bachelor's degree or master's degree or PhD? For heaven's sakes, you want credit for that, right? And for the more mature people, if your degree is more than 5 years old, we suggest don't put in the year that you graduated. Now, why is that? Well, because we really don't want people calculating age. But if you have completed a degree within the last 5 years, go ahead. Go ahead and put that on your profile. Now remember, if you have a question or a comment, the chat's available to you, and I'm keeping an eye on that. So, who do you connect with on LinkedIn? You might be surprised. Some people say, well, I don't know that many people. I've just been, I've had my head down working in my cubicle. I don't have a big network. that doesn't matter. Colleagues, yep, that's only one category. Clients and vendors. But don't think that you can't connect with other people like friends, even family, people you went to school with, your own business acquaintances. Now, don't laugh, like your doctor, your accountant. Why? Because when it comes to networking, they may know people that you would like to get introduced to. So we'll look at how do you invite people to connect with you on LinkedIn, and of course, always personalize the message. So just as a for instance, if you don't mind, I'm going to pick some folks out of our lineup here. So after tonight, if I wanted to connect with Kim or Christy or Marco or Mitchell or Natasha or Pat, if I send them a message to connect on LinkedIn, I would always personalize that message. So to get a recommendation on LinkedIn, choose who you would like to write a recommendation for you. But don't just shoot them an email saying, hey, are you okay with writing a recommendation for me on LinkedIn? If you're in a career transition, you want to network with that person. So you would set up a time to actually meet with them. And during that meeting, then you would ask them if they'd be willing to write a recommendation for you on LinkedIn. And something that we've learned over time is that there are some senior people and executives that would love to help you, would love to endorse you, would want to be if you will, a reference for you, but they're not comfortable having a recommendation out there in the public, if you will, on LinkedIn. So some people might say, no, I'm really not comfortable with that, but that doesn't mean that they don't support you or want to help you. If someone does say, sure, I'd like to write a recommendation for you on LinkedIn, let them know what you would like to emphasize. I mean, is there something that you would like to continue doing? Is there some particular aspect of your professional job that you don't really want to keep doing? So you could make suggestions. So if Vic were going to write a recommendation for me, I would say to him, Vic, would you please emphasize these things that you know about me? And a lot of times, I've seen this happen so many times, the person that you ask to write a recommendation for you says, well, would you mind just drafting something up for me, some ideas? Isn't that great? And then on LinkedIn, there's a formal way to request the recommendation. But you know what? You've already laid the groundwork for it. You've already laid the groundwork for it. So all of these are going to be in the document that you can get through the ASQ site. But right now, I'd like to take you on out on the field trip. So be patient with me while I set this up so it looks right.
And Linda, this is Bob Mitchell. One of our attendees, Jason Siebert, has asked, what are the best things to post and how often should one post on LinkedIn?
And I promise Jason and Bob, I'll get to that. I'm going to take the LinkedIn like top to bottom and then look at, what you can post and where to post it. But I'd like to just start with the basics. Jason, I know you'll hang on until we get to that. It is very important to have your photo, a professional looking photo on LinkedIn, and you can actually choose the kind of background that you want. Now, I haven't looked at everyone's profiles, but maybe you have the standard boring LinkedIn background. So I'm going to try something, and Bob, I'm going to ask you to let me know can you see my Google page or not?
Yes, it's coming up. Yep.
Oh,
we see it.
perfect. Okay. So this is something I really enjoy sharing with people. Do you see what I've entered? Just LinkedIn background singular, and then I'm going to hit enter. Look at this. These are all free images, hundreds of them, and all you would have to do is download the image that you like. I'm going to pick technology just for fun. They're free. You can download any of these images. You can put them in, save them on your computer, probably on your desktop somewhere, and you can put an image in as your background. Now, if this isn't, what you would like, let's try another one. This one just says professional. Oh, that looks pretty much the same. Let me try one more. Mechanical engineering. You got the idea. So a lot of people aren't aware that all of these cool backgrounds are available. Now, Bob, can you see my LinkedIn again?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. I just wanted to be sure it was there. So if you want to change the background, see that little pencil? Yeah, right there. That little pencil can allow you to change your background whenever you want. But before I get into any more of how you put in this first information, do you see the little circle up at the top, the little tiny image that I have in the word me? Before you start doing anything to change things on your LinkedIn profile, I'm going to ask you to visit your settings and privacy. Ready? And there's only a couple of things I want to share with you, but they're very important. So we'll start with account preferences. Okay, there's nothing in here that's too important right now. We're going to try sign in and security. Just a little heads up on the email address that you use. I've got 3, and one of them is a company that I work with, Lee Hecht Harrison. I would never make that my primary LinkedIn email address, because what if, same with you, what if you've used your company email address to set up your LinkedIn? If you leave that company, guess what? You could be locked out of LinkedIn. So choose the email address that you want to use. Let me check the visibility here. Okay. I'm going to just look at a couple of these for you. Profile viewing options. You'll see that I have full profile here. Now, why is that? Because when I'm looking at you or anyone else on LinkedIn, I want you to see that I've looked at you. So if you're especially if you're in a career transition, you want people to see that you have looked at them, for them to say, oh, who's that? And then to check you out. This here is one of the most interesting parts, where it says edit your public profile. Now, what in the world does that mean? What is your public profile? Well, it's what people who are not signed in to LinkedIn would see. So I've got everything visible. And where do you control that? Let me scroll down again and have you look at the right-hand side. Public visibility is on. My name is on. Every part of my profile would be visible to someone who is looking me up on LinkedIn. So these would be people that maybe someone Googles your name and your LinkedIn comes up and they click on it. You want them to be able to see your full profile. Now, what about your LinkedIn URL? Up in the upper right corner is where you can edit your URL. These little pencils are the handy things. So when you first join LinkedIn, I promise you that after your name is a bunch of junk. Yep, letters and numbers and sometimes even symbols. You can edit down to your name your URL. And where do you put that URL? Well, you can copy and paste it. Let me save it. And you put it on your resume. You make it part of your email signature. Any questions about customizing your URL? Okay, we're going to head back. There's one other thing that I wanted to share with you. Yes, here we go. Share profile updates with your network. That would be a big fat no. And here's why. As you are editing your profile, you're adding information, you're changing things, LinkedIn, thinking they're being helpful, will send a message out saying, oh, so-and-so just changed this, so-and-so just changed that. And when you are editing your experience, LinkedIn, thinking it's doing you a favor, will send out a message, oh, well, congratulate Chris on his new job. And you don't have a new job. All you were doing was editing your experience. I'm going to take you back to the profile. So just a quick review. Here's the pencil where you can change your background. You can click on your this circle here to put in your profile picture. This pencil here gives you the opportunity to put in your name. If you're known by a nickname, or like many of us women who have, a former married name or a maiden name, excuse me, you can put that in here. You can choose pronouns. You can choose whatever you want for a headline. You can show one college or university that you attended, and you can show your location. Now, the one that sometimes is a little frustrating for people is you have to choose an industry from, let's call it LinkedIn's drop-up menu. So you can only choose one. That's right, you can only choose one. So sometimes people, especially when they're in job search, they'd like to show that they're interested in more than one industry, but that's pretty much it. So I'm going to save this. And then something that I think is really important for you to be aware of. Have you noticed this on your LinkedIn profile where it says open to? And if you're open to being contacted by recruiters and finding a new job, you can click on this. And what's really great is you can put in up to 5 different titles. Oh, come on, I want to show that. So you could list up to 5 different titles that you would be interested in. You can show that if you're interested in working on site or hybrid or working remote. You can choose your geographic locations, even your remote locations. And then you can let a recruiter know, are you available immediately? Or, hey, if you want to contact me, I'd be happy to talk to you about the opportunity that you have in mind. And then, of course, you can choose full-time, contract, part-time, internship, temporary. So once you've filled that out, this is the part that's important. You only want this to be visible to recruiters. In other words, there's no big headline that shows up on your LinkedIn. Recruiters pay big bucks to have access to this information about the fact that you might be open to being contacted by them. Any questions about this section? Okay, I'm going to discard it because I'm not looking for anything. Okay, let's see. Jason, I don't want to miss anything here. Okay, where is it? This is weird. Every now and then LinkedIn changes things and then I'm like a doe in the headlights. So there should be a section here that allows you to post. Oh, I'm lying to you. Jason, stay tuned for a minute. See this here where it says add a section? Right here where it says featured, this is the place, Jason, where you can post something, you can share an article, you can share a link, you can share media. So what are the best things to post? Maybe something that you've written, an article that you haven't written but you would like to share that makes a lot of sense to people in your profession or your industry. So this is where it is right here. So I'm going to go back to this handy dandy add a section. And I'd like to talk about the about section. Do you remember I mentioned that you can have up to 2,600 characters here? Well, I already have an about section, but what if you didn't? This would be where you would add it. And look at that, I got a compliment. This section is complete. Looking good, Linda. So I'm going to share my about section with you. So I've used up not 2,600, but quite a few. And I have honored the guidelines that I've suggested to you, and that the paragraphs are short, the spacing is good so that people can skim. And I've put in some of the important areas of expertise that I offer to people. And I've written this in third person, as though I were speaking about something else. But it's very popular right now to write in the first person. And I'm actually going to share, there we go, a profile of a friend of mine who's done a terrific job. And if you want to write down his name, you can. But I also want to compliment Aaron. Look at this nice background. Nice headshot. Look at the headline. Transformational leader, strategic partner for excellence, trusted advisor, business enabler. You can have a strong headline too. Now his about section. I'll show you what I like about it. It's when he was speaking in the first person here. As a leader, I am committed to my associates and our business partners. As a business partner, I am a trusted thought and enablement partner who leverages, etc., etc. And then look what he's done. He's put in a list of his specialties. Remember, you can have up to 2,600 characters here. So I think, Aaron has done a really nice job. So I'll go back to my profile. And where did we leave off? Oh, the about section. So in this area where you can just add all these sections, if you haven't added work experience, hello, you can add your work experience, you can add education. And have you added licenses and certifications? How about volunteer experience? So let's talk about the work experience first. What I had suggested is go back a maximum of 15 years in detail in your experience. Do not copy and paste your entire resume into your experience. You can have less information. Now have two concurrent, if you will, jobs. Maybe you do too. Maybe you have a leadership position in ASQ as a for instance. You could add that. But essentially, just go back up to 15 years. You can put in bullet points. Any questions about the experience before we go on?
Don't see any.
Okay, so Jason, your other question was how often should you post something? I wouldn't post more than once a week. You don't want to overwhelm people with your posting. Now, for people on the call that have more than 15 years of experience and you might be feeling a little bit of angst about, that doesn't feel quite honest, or, I'm not really showing all my experience, here's what I would suggest. In the about section, I'm going to scroll all the way down to the end. You can add a statement. like early, as long as your keyboard can read your mind, early experience includes, and then you could put in, for instance, I was a program manager with IBM, or whatever your early experience was. In other words, you're not leaving anything out. You can add it here to your About section. But the truth of the matter is, most employers are interested in what have you done recently. And certainly that can be the last 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. At the most, we're suggesting go back 15 years. Any questions so far? Okay, I'm going to run down to education. Now you'll notice I've listed several universities and colleges in terms of education, and I'm just going to admit this to you right up front. You see this University of San Francisco? I've completed all 30 units for that master's degree, 4.0. You know what I haven't completed? The thesis. But do I want credit for having taken that education? Absolutely. So I'm going to encourage you, even if you haven't completed a particular degree, let people know that you have taken the coursework. And you'll notice I don't have any years here. Let me just go here to this edit button. So what you'll see, I haven't put in any years. You don't have to put in any years. But I did let them know I've completed all the coursework. Any questions about the education? I'm going to zoom back up to that wonderful little add a section. And so what have we covered? The work experience education. You can add licenses and certifications here, volunteer experience. There's a skills section I'll take you to in a moment. But first I'd like to explore with you the accomplishment section. Oh my gosh, look at all the cool things that you can add. Any publications, patents, courses that you've taken, courses that could be outside of a college environment. I'm pretty sure that if you've worked for any organization for any period of time, that they have had training, maybe diversity training or supervisory training or OSHA training, right? List any of those other courses that you've taken, maybe through your professional associations. Any outstanding projects, honors and awards, test scores. Do you have more than one language? What professional organizations do you belong to? And any causes that you support. So now I'm going to scroll through. I don't have any certifications right now, but here's where my volunteer experience popped up. And here's that skills section. Fill it up. You can have up to 50 keywords and phrases. And when you go to add a new skill, this is what I love about LinkedIn. They give you suggestions based on what you have in your profile thus far. Now, if you're like, oh no, I really don't want to add any of those, you can add another skill. And you can find whatever you want and add it. Or even if it's not in a drop-down list, you can still add it. So I'm going to close that. Now you see these top 3 skills that show up? Those are the ones I want to show up. LinkedIn, getting hired faster, resume writing. But how do you control that? You see the edit pencil here? So you can see all of the great words and phrases that you have listed. You've put these into your skills area. And what if I wanted to change my mind? Seriously, what if I wanted to change my mind and I didn't want to have resume writing there anymore? I just unpin it and then I pin whatever I want. And then I can even put them in the order that I want. All right, get up there. There you go. And then save it. Any questions about the skills area right now? If you already have recommendations and you want to ask for more, I'm just going to remind you that I mentioned that for each job, I suggest you get 2 to 3 recommendations. So here's a couple of gentlemen that I helped get new jobs just this year. And of course, I asked them if they would write a recommendation. But what about the scenario I mentioned earlier? What if I wanted Vic to write me a recommendation on LinkedIn? I would already have discussed it with him. And I would have told him, these are some of the things I'd really appreciate if you would emphasize these things. And once I know that Vic's on board to write a recommendation, then I can ask for a recommendation. And actually, I'm going to use Vic, nothing personal, but I'm going to use another friend of mine as the example here. So let's just imagine I also spoke with Doug, and Doug said, sure, I'd be happy to write you a recommendation. And then you have to show these things like, what was your relationship with this person? What was your position at the time? And then I would probably say something different. Hi, Doug, thanks for offering to write a recommendation for me. And then I could send it. Any questions about getting recommendations? Well, what if you don't have any recommendations right now? Let's go back to this add section. And after the accomplishments, it's hidden right here in this additional information. Hello, where'd it go? Ah, there we go. Request a recommendation. So if you don't have any recommendations, this is where you can do that. So we're getting close to the end of our time, and would like to just put it out to everyone. Do you have any questions so far on the sections that we have covered? Anyone?
I don't see any comments in the chat, but I've been very appreciative. I have a LinkedIn profile, although it's quite old. Frankly, I just have not found time to update it recently, but a lot of good tips and suggestions, especially the add a section, the features. I thought was a new learning for me. So
Oh, when I
consider it.
discovered this, Bob, I was just like, I was in heaven. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. All of these things. And the words that attract recruiters or anyone else more than others would be the words that you see in the job postings that they have. You want to load up, let me get back down there to that skills section. You want to be sure to load up that skills section with all the keywords that you see in the job postings that you might be interested in. Yep, that's what's going to attract them. So Bob, is it time for our break?
Yeah, this is a perfect time. 7 o'clock. We can take a couple-minute break if you'd like. 5-minute break? How long would you like?
Oh, that's fine. I'm eager to get on to the next section.
Okay. Well, I'm just take a couple minutes to grab another glass of adult beverages, and we can get started then. Meanwhile, if anyone has any questions of our speaker tonight, Linda, please feel free to unmute yourself. Or if you're shy, you can put a comment in the chat session. You can resume whenever you want, but I will be back in a couple minutes.
Okay, you've given me the freedom to resume whenever I want, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay, well, we'll just take a couple minutes because this is just going to roll into the next presentation. And I'm watching the chat if you have any questions, any comments. I got a private message from someone who just said, oh my goodness, there's so much to do. But it's so important. This is your public persona. This is what people are going to look at. Employers, recruiters, co-workers. So I am looking at the time and at 7:06, that's when we'll get started with the next presentation.
So Linda, this is Vic. I'm trying to update my skills, and it makes suggestions on what skills to add, but not edit my skills. I don't know what I need to click on.
Oh, the pencil. Do you see that, the little pencil on the right-hand side?
It says add a new skill. Yeah.
To the right of add a new skill, there's just a little pencil.
Uh-huh.
That,
I see.
yeah,
Okay.
that's where you can play with those.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. And so how many did you say we should have on the top skills? Maybe 3?
You can only have 3 that show that are visible. So you want to be very particular that those 3 top skills are really what you consider to be this top skills you want people to know about.
I see. And what's the limit on the number of skills you can have?
Oh, 50.
I see.
And getting back to Jason's question about what are the keywords that attract the recruiters, I would say just load up that skills section with the keywords that you see regarding skills that are in posted positions. I don't think it's important to take the skill quiz. Natasha's asking that. Honestly, I don't know anyone who's done that.
Hey, Linda, this is Jim Steele.
Hi, Jim.
Hi. My company is a growing 3D printing company plus consulting company. Obviously, I'm looking to provide services to others. Is LinkedIn set up to do that?
Say again what you want to do.
That we offer consulting services.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not looking for a new job. I don't, I've already had my career, and I'm building the company now. So is LinkedIn set up so that you can offer services to others?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's, I'm sure you have a website.
Yep.
So and you've got the link to your website on your LinkedIn, I hope.
Yep.
And then the other thing that you can do, and I'll show this a little bit later, is you can join groups on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Groups where the people would be that you would want to sell your services to. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, guess what? It's 7:06, so I'm going to start the next session.
Yep, sounds good. I'm back. Thank you.
Okay, good. Give me a moment. I want to be sure it's going to look really good to everyone. Okay. Oh, well, it's a little bit off kilter. Let me get that. Oh, there we go.
Looks good.
So Bob, without consulting you, I just added another couple of words in here.
No, it's your presentation.
Yeah, thank you. So your personal brand, networking, and for anyone who's interested in job search, how these all come together. I'm just going to repeat something I said a little bit earlier, and that is you are, and I mean this in the kindest way, every one of you is a product. And there is just no point to be holding back the good information about you that a potential employer or a potential customer or someone who might like to tap you for a speaker or a panel member would want to know about you. So we'll start with the brand, your brand. So what's the point of it? To help others understand what you do. Now, before I say anything else, you might be wondering, or not, what is this little gold box up here in the right-hand corner? Okay, so I have a question for everyone. Would you agree with me that most people who know you have you in a little box? You're their project management person, or you're an engineer, or does something in quality, or she does something in marketing, or I think he's in IT. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, they really don't understand what you do. They've got you in that box right there. So your personal brand can really help people understand and appreciate what you do. And especially at the point when you're interested in promotion or finding a new position, being able to differentiate yourself and standing out from the crowd of other people who do similar work to you. What is the value that you bring? You know, it's not a good brand to say, I'm a project manager with 15 years of experience. I have a bachelor's degree and a PMP. No, that is not telling the value that you have to bring. And you want to be able to introduce yourself when you're networking or in an interview or when you're just talking with your neighbors and friends, properly introduce you. And then everywhere, do you remember how Bob said he has all of these personal accounts, all of these social media personal accounts? Well, one of the things that Bob or any of us want to do is have consistent messaging across all forms of communication, social media, a resume, a bio, professional groups you belong to, networking. So what you speak and what you write, the messaging, your brand needs to be consistent. Well, so how do you work on creating that brand? Well, it takes a little bit of introspection and thought to differentiate yourself. What are you really good at? What are you really good at? What's a nice list of the things that are your top qualities and your top skills? And it could be, I'm going to use that example of a project manager again. So when a recruiter, let's just say, is looking for a project manager and they're looking on LinkedIn, dozens of people are going to come up and they're all going to have some of the same characteristics. But what's the frosting on the cake? What is it that you have that can differentiate you from all of the other people who have similar backgrounds? Do you speak any other languages? Do you have degrees that maybe aren't even required? What about certifications? International experience? Or do you have an odd mix of experience? That different industries that you have worked in, or perhaps you've worked in a Fortune 500 company and you've worked in startups. So what is the extra, if you will, the frosting or the cherry on the hot fudge sundae that you have that would differentiate you from other people who have similar backgrounds? And then something I'd really like you to think about and answer for yourself. You don't have to answer it for me right now. Whether officially or unofficially, what do people come to you and ask for help on? Are you the official go-to person? You could be an unofficial go-to person. In my early career, before I was ever involved in the employment field, I'd be working in my office and one of my colleagues would come in and they'd lower their voice and they'd shut the door and they'd say, "Could you take a look at my resume? What do you think?" And I'm like, oh. People trusted me with that. They just knew I had good instincts regarding resumes. What are you the go-to person for? Is it for when people are working on Excel or when they're trying to put together a PowerPoint presentation, or you're the go-to person when they've got a difficult coworker or boss or client or customer? So give some thought to that. What are you the go-to person for? And remember, both of these presentations, Bob's going to make them available to you on the website. Now for the next couple of slides, I need some help. I would like a volunteer who would be kind enough to read out a sample branding statement that I have for you. Who would be kind enough to read out this sample branding statement? Or you can just unmute yourself and start reading.
So is this, you're asking for the people who this actually represents, or just looking for a volunteer to read this?
Anyone who's on the call, if you'd just be kind enough
Okay.
and just unmute yourself and speak up.
Would anybody
do
else
it.
like to volunteer? Great, thank you.
I am a bilingual senior global leader specializing in helping teams build top quality complex software applications within large, fast-paced, results-driven organizations. I
Keep
do this,
going.
keep going, okay. I do this by collaborating with people at all levels of the organization to remove obstacles, mitigate risk, and implement processes and tools that make the team's day-to-day work more productive. I am successful because of my ability to connect with people, my passion for continuous improvement, and my ability to embrace change. What is unique about me is my combined experiences of overseeing large-scale agile transformation, heading the project management office, and leading quality assurance teams in the US, India, China, and Europe.
Thank you so much. Now, I just want you to imagine for a moment that you're in an interview, and one of the first questions they ask is, so tell us a little bit about yourself. This is a pretty powerful tell me about yourself statement. Now, another example would be you're at an event like an ASQ meeting or any other meeting, and someone asks, what do you do? You could just use this first sentence. So once you have your branding statement written, you can modify it depending on who you're talking to and what the situation is. You know, whether it's your next door neighbor who asks, or it's a recruiter, or it's an employer, or you're just introducing yourself somewhere. And in the work that I do, I am working a lot with people that have been involved in reductions in force. Anybody identify with that? You know, layoffs and reductions in force. So they may be between opportunities. So they don't have to say something like, well, I used to be da 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 at the XYZ company. They can just use the first sentence of their branding statement. Now I've got a second one, so I'm fishing here for another volunteer. If you'd be so kind. Who would be kind enough? Just go ahead and unmute yourself and read this out.
I am a supplier quality specialist, and my specialty is helping manufacturing achieve their delivery commitments. I do this by working with the supplier and manufacturing teams to correct any issues. I've been successful because I'm methodical and understand the requirements and use of data collected. What is unique about me is I'm interested in resolving the issue, regardless of who is responsible. I am always ready to explore any approach to resolve quality issues.
Yay! I like it. So this is just another nice, nice example of, you could just use the very first sentence if if the situation would call for it, or you could use all or part of this. Now, something I'm hoping that you're going to enjoy is that in the documents that you can download that Bob's going to have handily for you on the website, here's the outline to put together this kind of a branding statement. You think that might be helpful?
Definitely.
Great. Okay, well, we're moving on. So once
Yeah,
you've got
just
your, oh, I'm
sorry
sorry,
for the
anything else?
interruption. Sorry for the interruption. This is Bob Mitchell. I
Uh-huh.
like this, and it's very similar to a value proposition statement. So again, as you said, you are a product. And so this is very much like an organization's value proposition for some product that they or service that they deliver.
So Bob, I'm just going to interject here. So many times when I'm working with people who are in career transition, they almost freeze with the thought of, do I have to sell myself? I'm not a salesperson. But this is just the truth. And so that's all we want, is just the truth about you and the value that you can bring to a potential employer.
It's kind of like a features, advantages, and benefits.
Exactly. Exactly. So, you want to have this brand all the branding statement, you want to get that put together. And then what about your networking? And I understand that especially when you're able to meet in person, this is probably going to be so much fun for all of your members. But something to think about. This might seem like an odd statement, but it's not who you know, it's who knows you. And the benefit of you meeting people and creating relationships in your networking is that when it's time for you to call someone and ask for their help or their assistance or their advice or their recommendation, they know you. You don't want to be just that, secret that's hidden away in your cubicle doing great work. So why are you networking? Well, to create and enhance a reputation that's positive, to position yourself for advancement whenever it comes, whenever you need to do that. To give yourself a little more visibility and credibility, maybe you could be a speaker or a panel member or a presenter in an organization. And to build that network when you're in a job search. So where are you going to network? Well, guess what? Where you are right now, professional and industry events, online professional and industry groups. I'm going to take you out to LinkedIn in just a minute and just show you some of those. How about alumni organizations? Oh my goodness, before COVID, I had the opportunity to be a presenter and a speaker at, the Notre Dame alumni group, the Cornell alumni group. You need visibility. So if there's an opportunity, even if it's a Zoom event, it's a good idea to get involved. How about any community or volunteer or, recreation organizations that you belong to, or even networking with people that you have the same hobby that they have. And then just one-on-one, getting together with people for coffee or for lunch. And guess what's coming up? That's right, social and holiday gatherings. And isn't it going to be great that you're going to be ready with that branding statement? So I am going to take you away on another little field trip very quickly. And I'm going to ask for your patience until I get to exactly the place that I want to be. And this isn't quite it. So this is just back to LinkedIn. Do you see the search bar right there in the upper left-hand corner? I put in the word quality. Now look at the drop-down menu. Quality in groups. What groups could you join on LinkedIn for more networking and for more visibility for yourself? You're going to be just shocked. Look at this. Quality and Regulatory Network, 140,000 members. ASQ, 126 members. Quality Assurance QA Professionals, almost 100,000 members. You do want to join as many of these groups as would be appropriate for you. Now, you see when I pulled up this group, you know what LinkedIn does? It's just so smart, so intuitive. It's telling me, oh, look, Linda, you have 32 connections that already belong to this group. So you'll see people that you know in the group, and then all you have to do is request to join. So just a quick review, you put a keyword up here. I'm just using project management, and you would look for project management groups. Got it, everyone? Great places for you to get more connectivity. More connectivity.
And I'd like to make a plug for our own Phoenix section. If you were to type in ASQ Phoenix, and you would see that we have a group within LinkedIn. So it's another great opportunity to network.
Ha-ha,
There you
look
go.
at that right there. Cool. Okay. Well, we're going to head back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take up where we left off. Give me a moment to get us to the right place. Okay, so this is just a nice checklist for you, where to network, why network. Now, this is a little more detailed, and sometimes people don't realize there's the preparation that needs to be done. So if you're going to attend like another ASQ event, I would suggest looking at who's on the board, who's in the group, what's the program, what are past programs, who's going to be the speaker coming up. Check out those folks. Prepare and practice your branding and positioning statement. Bob, do you often put people into breakout groups and to do introductions?
Yeah, we've been trying to take advantage of breakout groups on Zoom
Great.
in our program meetings. And then when we do have our face-to-face program meetings, we always start out with a networking session as well. And
Great.
traditionally, in the month of December, we would hold our holiday networking where we wouldn't even necessarily always have a guest speaker, but we have a larger than normal buffet, and we'll try to have it some holiday theme, but it's totally dedicated to networking and building your brand.
Well, whether
Unfortunately, with COVID, we won't be able to offer that this December, but we do try to encourage that. That's really the value that a local section brings to ASQ.
Well, whether it's a Zoom meeting or it's in person, these are my strongest recommendations if you really want to get the most out of any group event. Even to the point, especially when you're in a career transition, make a list of the people you'd like to meet during the event. Okay, like I'm the speaker. If you ask a question, you know the people I'm aware of right now? I'm aware of Barry and Natasha and Jason and others. You know why? Because they're asking questions. And if it's an in-person meeting and you have the opportunity to raise your hand and stand up and ask a question, all eyes are on you. And I don't mean to make you nervous, but when you ask an intelligent question, people are going to respect that. So the people that you meet that you want to stay in touch with, you can get email addresses, follow up with an email. Like Vic, I'm using you for my example. What if I sent Vic an email that says, Vic, it was just so great to meet you virtually this evening at the meeting. Or send a personalized LinkedIn request to connect and send a thank you message to the speaker or the presenter. If you really want to network, this is the formula. This is the recipe right here. So for one-on-one, we just talked about group networking. One-on-one networking, you want to schedule face-to-face or virtual meeting with a person. And whatever you want to do, what you're comfortable with, meet for coffee, lunch, Zoom, FaceTime, a phone appointment. And then also reach out and connect with people on LinkedIn. Any questions these are just basic networking rules. Any questions about the networking?
Yeah, Linda, this is Vic. So one question is that, sometimes you're looking at a company, possible opportunity there where you see a connection that you have there, not someone you actually know or recognize, right? It's just that they had sent a request. At least I see that a lot. In my case, there are people who are connected because of ASQ or whatever. They sent a request, I accepted, and now you have a connection at company X, and but you don't know them. And I don't know if you've had these kind of situations before where people are looking at a possible opportunity there, but this connection that they have is not the one that they really know. So any tips on how to leverage that
Sure.
connection on LinkedIn? Yeah.
I would contact that person, and if you look on their LinkedIn profile, they may have a phone number, they may have an email address, Just a little tip, a lot of times people send other people messages on LinkedIn and then they get really discouraged because they don't hear anything back, right? They don't hear anything back. And
Right.
that's because people are religious about checking their email, but not so dedicated to checking their LinkedIn messages. So I would suggest sending an email to the person. I'm just going to pretend, Vic, it's you and I would send you a message. Vic, sometime back, you and I connected on LinkedIn. I think it's because we're both active in ASQ. I'd really like to ask your advice and suggestions about something that has to do with your company. Can we schedule a time to talk? So even if we weren't good buddies, I would still reach out to you. But
Mhm.
we need to move on because our time is getting short, and I do want to address those who are in current job search or might be in the future. Just a reminder, 80%, 85% of hiring is a result of some sort of networking. Getting referred, getting recommended, getting introduced, talking to people, even if it's that person that you don't know very well, that you're a first degree connection on LinkedIn. And 98% of recruiters and employers use LinkedIn as a primary tool for sourcing candidates, which is why I am so passionate about you all beefing up your LinkedIn profiles and looking really, really good. So if a person is in a job search, the smartest thing that they can do is actually put together a marketing plan. It'll give you the guidance that you need and to share when you are networking one-on-one with people. And what does it include? It includes your objective, your branding statement, your competencies, your target market, and the companies that you're interested in. So Vic, I'm going to continue to use you if you don't mind. I'm going to pretend that if I were in a job search and I wanted to network with Vic and really, really pick his brain, I have a sample of a marketing plan that I want to share with you all.
Linda, one quick question actually. So I really like that other template that you shared about, introducing ourselves and what we are about. I don't know what you call a profile template, I guess. Are there other templates as well that we are able to share with our members besides that template?
Well, this sample right here, it's not a template, but it's a sample. I also sent that to Bob, so that would be available for people as well.
Okay. Thank you.
So let me get back to, I'm in a job search and I'm thinking of the people that could potentially help me, give me some suggestions of who to talk to. And I set a time to get together with Vic, and I have my marketing plan, and it has my objective, even the titles of the positions I'd be interested in. It has my positioning or branding statement. And then what I'm going to ask you to put on your marketing plan would be your areas of competency, your areas of expertise. And you see there are 4 on this sample, and that's all it is a sample. How many would one have? Well, 3 to 6 areas of competency. You remember at the beginning I said there's so many people, they just have you in a box. They see you as, well, I think he's in HR or she's in marketing or does something in IT or in quality. And you sit down with someone and you share your marketing plan with them and they'll go, whoa, I had no idea you did all of these things. So that's one part of your networking it's not you getting a resume to someone. It's educating them about what it is that you're good at and the value that you can bring. And then you put together the next part of your marketing plan is, remember the person that was talking about the 3D printing? Who's your target market? Who's most likely to be able to use the skills that you have as an individual? So you look at where do you want to end up? What are the industries that you would prefer? What's the size of the organization? And then, you got to do a little bit of research, maybe Dun and Bradstreet Hoovers the book of lists. Anyone familiar with the book of lists? And you make a list of your target companies. So I can assure you that this is what would happen if I sat down with Vic. And Vic, I said, Vic, I would really like your thoughts and suggestions. These are some of the companies that I'm interested in. Any ideas? And I am sure Vic would say to me something like this: oh, you didn't know this, but my cousin works at American Express. Let me put you in touch with my cousin. Or my own agent is with New York Live. Let me put you in touch with that person. So what you end up with is a whole list of people that you can pick up the phone and call, and I can say, hi, I'm calling you at the suggestion of Vic. And that's what's going to help you get into the companies that you're interested in. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this and take us back, because I have a little bit more and I know I'm taking you over time. So strong suggestion, if you're in a career search, for heaven's sakes, put together a marketing plan. And as I've shown this to you, did anyone have the idea that if you said to someone, and I'd like to share my marketing plan with you for my career search, they'll go like, whoa, you have a marketing plan for your career search? You're not just going to shove your resume at me? You're going to get people who really want to be helpful to you. Good idea, too, in your career search, to put together an informal board of advisors. And I would, let's just say, if I were a quality person, I would probably call Bob and Vic, and I'd say, guys, I don't know if you know, but there was a reduction in force at such and such company, and I'm now going to be kicking off a career search. I really value your thoughts, your suggestions, your knowledge. Would you be willing to be on my informal board of advisors, and I can just, ask your advice as I'm going through my career transition? So 3 to 5 people that you can talk to on a regular basis. People who know and respect you, would love to be involved in your success. Give them the opportunity to feel good about helping you. So you assemble a group of people who are eager to assist you. It's not that you're going to be bugging them all the time, but wouldn't it be great every time you see a posted position, I could call Bob or Vic and say, hey, I saw something at Intel. Do you know anybody over there? Because they're part of the team. Now, what about if you see a posted position? Instead of clicking and sending, which is what a lot of people do, they see a posted position and all they do is they just click and send their resume. The first question that needs to be asked is, oh, do I know anyone over there at Intel? Do I know anyone who knows anyone at Intel? That would be the first thing that you would want to check out. And then before approaching the company, you would do the research on the company, jump on LinkedIn, you can look up the people at Intel, any news about what's going on in their market, who's their competition. On LinkedIn, you can often find who the hiring manager would be. And then you draft a targeted cover letter. Some people say, oh, well, they don't require a cover letter. One of my mentors told me a while back, there is very little traffic on the extra mile. And that's what you show when you write a targeted, customized cover letter in addition to your resume. And I want to send all of this to a real person, hopefully the hiring manager. But you can do a double shot. You can contact a real person. You can also submit an application. So if you do see a posted position that looks really good to you, has anyone used jobscan.co? Oh, this is so sweet. You can copy and paste your resume and the job posting, and it will give you immediately how close a match are you to that position, which means you might need to do a little bit of editing of your content to get a better match. And ultimately, customize the resume and the cover letter for that job. Be sure you include the keywords from the job posting. And in your letter, make a comment about when you will follow up with them. Okay, what percentage is good? Oh, Pat, at least 70% on the job scan. Yeah, at least 70%. And I know some of you are really competitive. You'll try to get it up there. So thank you very much, everyone. I know we went a little bit over time. When you retrieve these documents, you'll see that, I'm happy to offer a free 30-minute consultation for any of you regarding your resume, LinkedIn, or career search. And Bob, I need to turn it back to you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Linda. Actually, you have a couple more minutes. If anything you'd like more to share, I've got you going until 1:45, so you got another 7 minutes if you'd like. Otherwise, sure our members would either enjoy the opportunity to ask questions or even, leave early if we get done early. But
Well,
if you have any more great nuggets you'd like to share, we're all thirsty.
I absolutely do. I'm going to ask for your patience for just a minute. I'm going to take us back to LinkedIn for just a moment. And let me do that appropriately with. Here we go. Okay. You might notice that I have the paid subscription to LinkedIn, and I do suggest it if you're in a career search. So for instance, if I were looking for a job and I go up here to the jobs tab, and I'm just going to grab the first one that I see, this Chief Operations Officer. It doesn't matter the job, I just want to show you what's available to you. And of course you go through, yada yada, what do they want? They want everything. And then you get to this line right here. And this is where the information shows up because I have that premium account. I'm in the top 50%. Of course, it's not a right job for me, but look what they'll show you. They'll show you if you have the skills that they're looking for, and if not, you might want to bounce back to your LinkedIn and get those keywords in there. It'll show you a little bit of a profile of the other applicants, where they're from, and an inside look at the company. Holy moly, they're really doing a lot of hiring. Median tenure, 1 year. I have a feeling it could be because they're a fairly new company. So, for heaven's sakes, look at the company. If you have the premium account, you can pretty much look at everything regarding that company. But I would also, let me go to their page on LinkedIn. You would follow the company and then look up the people. And you can even put in a keyword, like, let's just say I'm looking for whatever, a chief, a CEO, COO, CMO, doesn't matter. Let me see what I can get here. Interesting. Well, I didn't get the word that I wanted, but it just kind of shows you can look through the people and try to find people that would be involved in the hiring. Or like, look at this. University of San Francisco. Remember, that's one of my schools? Oh, there's somebody from University of San Francisco. So I would not be shy at all about approaching Scarlett and say, hey, you and I both went to USF. I'm kind of interested in your company. I'd like to talk with you and see what I can find out about it. I wouldn't be shy at all about doing that. So here's what I would like to do, is check out any questions. Are there situations where a career coach would be advisable? Jason, how can I answer that question? I'm a career coach. Of course I'm going to say that. And like I said, I'm happy to provide a 30-minute consultation at no cost to anyone who's interested. Okay, what other questions? whether it's on LinkedIn or anything else. Let me go back to the profile. So Jason, I guess the answer really is, if you've learned anything new this evening, it's because it came from a career coach. And a lot of people, they're not experts at job search. They've been doing their job. Any other question? I'm going to head on back. Bob, do you
That
have any
was-
questions?
That was fantastic information. I think you were holding out on us until the end. It's kind of like an encore presentation, right?
That's fine. Just
Oh,
like a
that
good
was
concert.
That was excellent. Excellent. Anybody has a question, now is your chance before we move on and conclude for the evening. Yeah, do have other questions. Of course, you can always look up Linda on LinkedIn, and you can ask her some questions there one-on-one if you'd like. I think, and I'm speaking now to the other member leaders of the section who are on the call, based on what we learned tonight, I think the format suggested by Linda would be an excellent future program, maybe February or March. Jim Steele, you're going to be the chair.
Yep.
We could have that type of a networking session where send out in advance that branding template, the marketing plan template or sample, have people come prepared and have them share that information at a networking event in the near future. I think that'd be a great value and service to our members.
I agree.
Cool. Great. Well, Linda, great information again. It's always a pleasure having you participate and share your experience and wisdom with our group. And we're all the much wiser for it. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Just a reminder to everyone to download those documents so you've got the presentations and you've got the sample marketing plan.
Yeah, excellent. Yes, I will be posting those tonight. All right, so do you see my screen? I think I'm sharing.
No.
No, not sharing. Let me go back here. Share screen. Sorry about that. All right,
Yay.
great. All right, so the couple wrap up slides here. Remember that you will indeed get some RU credits for attending tonight's program. You will receive via email from our Voice of Customer Chair, John Lindland, an email with a survey link, as well as a copy of your RU cert. Please do fill out the survey link. I know it gets tedious and repetitive to keep sending surveys back, but we really do look at that information. And that's one of the reasons or vehicles that made us consult and look at someone such as Linda to present to you on these very topics of career development. So yes, indeed, we do look at those, and we do include that in the hopper for future program meetings. And I want to thank Vic again for just an excellent program. Speaking of programs, for the remainder of the year, in November, we have Dumidu Ranawira, who will be presenting a presentation on Industry 4.0 and smart manufacturing, and linking it with Lean Six Sigma. So how can Industry 4.0 and smart manufacturing actually benefit Lean Six Sigma initiatives? And then in December, we are excited to be able to deliver to you one of our own, Hillary Werner, who is our newsletter editor and will be our treasurer next year. Hillary is employed by the city of Phoenix as a forensic scientist. So Hillary will be giving an exciting presentation in December on CSI, behind the scenes is what she's labeling it, but it's all about quality and forensic analysis. So I think it'll be a very interesting presentation to close out our year. And I wish everybody can join us. Again, it will be via Zoom. Hopefully, though, start of next year, we'll be able to get back into the face-to-face in-person events. Also upcoming is the Quality 4.0 Summit from ASQ. later this month. Registrations are probably closed at this point. I don't, maybe you can get a late registration, but most importantly, if there are any students among us tonight, I just want to remind everybody that it's free to us, to ASQ students. Now, you have to be an ASQ student, meaning you've paid your ASQ dues as a student, and that's like $30 for the year, $31 for a year to join ASQ as a student. And they will recognize you as a student based on your email address. So if you are a student and if you would like to join ASQ, please use your student email, such as @asu.edu or some .edu domain. We'll get you into that conference free of charge. And I also want to remind everybody that we do have partner alliances established with several organizations in the area, one of which is SWAY, who is they're really the experts in Baldrige, and they provide Baldrige examiners. They provide training to develop you as an examiner if you have that interest. But they provide a free webinar every third Thursday of the month. So next week at 8 a.m. morning, so Mountain Standard Time, they will have a topic on diversity, equity, and inclusion, all around progress versus perfection, the power of incremental change. And we will have a speaker from the city of Henderson, Nevada. They actually won the Baldrige Award. So we had a Baldrige Award winner presenting on one of their best practices. And I provided the webinar link. This presentation and all of my slides will also be posted to our My ASQ site this evening. And then finally, just a reminder that there is the Lean Six Sigma conference every year. For the last 2 years, they have been a virtual event because of COVID. However, coming in 2022, it will be back to a face-to-face in-person event at the Point Hilton Tapatio Cliffs Resort. There is a website you can go to. You see the address below. They're still working on the program, identifying and securing all the final speakers and papers, putting the whole program together. But if you are interested in attending that conference in our own backyard, you might want to bookmark this link and just follow the progress of the conference event. And if you are interested in volunteering as, say, a session moderator, where you make sure people get to the right room, you may be asked to introduce the speaker, we will have more information coming out on that. And of course, you would earn RUs serving as a volunteer. And it gets you in to the conference for free. Earlier, Linda was talking about social media and LinkedIn especially. Just a reminder that we, the Phoenix section, have a presence on a multitude of social media platforms, including Facebook, LinkedIn, we have our own group, Twitter, Instagram, and we have all of these recorded presentations, such as the one tonight, are available for you to watch, or you can recommend a colleague to watch out on our YouTube page. You might want to make note of our YouTube channel. However, it's probably easiest to watch these via our My ASQ link. If you go to My ASQ, connect over to ASQ Phoenix, under videos, there will be an embedded link to all of these presentations, which will then automatically take you to our YouTube channel. So I just want to give a selfless plug for that. But again, thank you, everybody. Be looking for the thank you letter with the survey, and your RU certificate should be coming to you in the next couple of days. And I will post these handouts tonight. So thank you, everybody, for your attendance. Thank you again, Linda, for an excellent presentation. I'm just checking the chat session window one final time, see if there's anything. It'd be great to have a podcast to listen to once they're finally off the road. Thank you, Linda, and more thanks. So have a great evening, and I will see you in November. Talk to you again. Bye-bye.